Today's scripture reading brings us to 1 Samuel chapter 21. This chapter is only 15 verses long. I have it broken down into two sections. At this point in time, David has left Jonathan. Jonathan has confirmed unto David and unto himself that Saul wants to kill him. David and Jonathan part ways. And this chapter marks the beginning of what would be an exile of David for about 10 years. And at the beginning of this chapter, we see that David is fleeing to Nob. Now, this is, again, the first 9 verses, and that's how I have it titled. So as David goes there, this is a priestly city. Evidently, the tabernacle is set up here because there's talk of the showbread, which was specifically ordained to set upon the table of showbread and eaten by the priests. So he flees to this priestly city of Nob, and he sees Ahimelech there in the very first verse, and he's the priest. Well, Ahimelech knows something is up because here is David, and David's high up in the ranks of the Israeli government, and he's there not with an entourage, but he's there by himself, and he's ill-equipped, has no food, and has no weapons. You know something's up. That's why he's fearful of meeting with him there in the first verse. In verse number 2, we see that David lies to him, says he's on a secret mission from the king. Now, this is ill-advised of David because what happens here will have repercussions in the next chapter, as you will see. But David lies, and he tells him about this and secret mission that he's on. And he asks for food, and then after that he asks if he had any weapons there. But the food, and I want to take just a moment and discuss this food that he gets, the priest tells him, he says, all I have is the 5 loaves in mine hand, and they're not common bread. In other words, they're not just for anybody. They're for the priests. It's ordained of that by God, and you can look in the book of Exodus, maybe chapter 25, not 100% sure on that, but somewhere in there, it's the table of showbread. And you can also look in the book of Leviticus where it gives a little more detail on that. So it's not lawful for David to eat this, but here's the thing. The reason why the priest gave it to him is that mercy and necessity was greater than the rituals and ordinances that were in place. So the law of mercy and necessity was greater than the ritual that was there, and Jesus makes this clear. And again, I want to make something perfectly clear. It was not lawful for David to eat it. It was going against the ordinance of God. However, love thy neighbor as thyself, right? As Jesus put those to love God and then love thy neighbor as thyself, 2 great commandments. Well, this was the second greatest commandment, essentially, was to give unto that need. That's why he did that. However, he did put a condition on it, and that they had to be ritually clean. In other words, they could not have laid with woman for at least a day. So in these first 9 verses, we see that Doug, an Edomite, is there. Why he's there is a little uncertain. He could have been there as he was fulfilling a vow. This is evidently a Jewish proselyte, and he's following the Jewish religion, and he is, in essence, a spy of Saul. When David sees that Doug is there, he realizes that he's in trouble. This visit unto Nob is not going to be kept secret. It's going to be revealed unto Saul, and so he flees from there, but not before he asks them if there's a weapon, and Goliath's sword, the giant in which David slew, was there at the tabernacle, and it was evidently given as a token of appreciation unto God for the great victory in which he wrought through David. So he takes Goliath's sword with him, and he flees Nob because Doug is there, and he goes to Achish, the king of Gath. Now, this is the Philistines. This is where David is going. He flees into the Philistines. So at this point in David's life, he's It's like, pick your poison. Does he go in Israel? They're going to find him. Does he go back to the kingdom where he knows that they're going to kill him there? Or does he take his chances by going to Gath and hoping that he can either live in anonymity or that they will show mercy upon him? I don't know. I don't know about showing mercy upon him, the man that killed their giant and he's carrying Goliath's sword. I figured he was trying to live in anonymity. However, it was known of him. They knew him. And it says that there in verse number 11, they repeated that dancing. Saul killed his thousands, but David has killed his thousands, slain us, or hit his hundreds and his thousands. You can see it there in verse number 11. So David does not find refuge. And in fact, when he's taken by the Philistines, he realizes he's in trouble. So his way of escape was to feign madness, to act like he's crazy. I have verses 10 through 15 titled, David Plays the Madman in Gath. He acts crazy, and he's letting his spittle come down his beard and such, which is very humiliating for someone to do that. They think nobody in their right mind would do that. So they accept the thought, anyway, that he's a madman, and they let him escape. Now, if you want some further reading on this, there's a couple Psalms that directly tie to this very strange encounter of David going unto the Philistines there at Gath. Psalm 56 is written while David is being taken, and Psalm 34 is a psalm of thanksgiving unto God for his release there. So that's 1 Samuel chapter 21. I will say this, and that is, this video marks the 100th video that we've recorded for the Second Mile Fellowship program. And I just want to say thank you if you have been watching these videos. It's been a help and a blessing to me, and I hope and I pray that it's been a help and a blessing to you. So, Lord willing, we'll see you further on down the road.